Good evening, and welcome to this week's edition of Purpose, Value, and Meaning web classes. I'm Keisha Golder, and I help women define their unique purpose and improve their situations by reclaiming their time and doing things on their own terms. I also created the Your Life Purpose Makeover Journey. This is a 3-stage 9-step program designed to not only help you find your purpose, but help you build confidence and live authentically. I want to remind everyone before we get started that there will be a question and answer section towards the end of the presentation or the end of the class. And if you can hold all questions until then, I would greatly appreciate it. Before we jump into tonight's topic, we are going to do a recap of last week. Last week, we discussed insecurities and how to identify your insecurities so that you can overcome them. So we talked about what insecurities were. We talked about where they came from and how they affect us, as well as how we can overcome those insecurities. Well, tonight we are talking about learning to live an authentic life. So in order to learn to live an authentic life, we are going to have to know what authentic living is. We are also going to discuss why it is important to be yourself and be authentic, and ways that you can begin to live an authentic life if you are not already. And if you are, different ways that you can continue practicing so that you will continue living an authentic life. Let's jump right on in. What is authentic living? Authentic living is where your values and your beliefs match your actions. So why do your values and beliefs have to match your actions? Excuse me. Your values and your beliefs have to match your actions so that everything is aligned and the things that you say match the things that you do. When you are not aligned in those things, there's a lot of chaos. You're always in your head. There's confusion. You just never know what might happen, as opposed to being very clear on what your values and beliefs are, and knowing that with the particular values and beliefs that you have, you carry yourself in such a manner that no one can question you on what you are doing. What reasons that we need to be authentic? Being authentic leads us to our purpose. We all have a purpose to fulfill in life. Some of us have multiple purposes to fulfill in life. Some of us are aware of the purpose, others of us are not aware, and we are in search of the purpose. Living authentically allows us to fulfill our purpose that is given to us. And remember, we are all unique individuals. So there's no one else like you, which means there is no one else that is going to have the same purpose as you. And if you're not living your authentic life, then the world is missing out on your unique perspective, on your purpose, your unique perspective in the way that you do things. Another reason to be authentic is you become more helpful. Excuse me. When you live an authentic life and you're walking in your purpose, it allows you to be more helpful to other people, because people learn behaviors through example. You can tell someone to do something, but if you are not mirroring the behavior that you're telling them to do, then chances are they're not going to learn it. So when you become more authentic and you're living in your purpose and you're doing things, your actions are aligned with your values and beliefs, people see this and they can say, I'm not doing that. I want to know how she does that. I want to know how everything that this person says that they believe is shown in their actions. Maybe I need to talk to this person to get a better understanding of what they are doing in their lives, so I can begin to do the same thing in mine. It's always, even down to children, They watch you. No matter what you say to them or what you tell them to do, they're watching. People are always watching, good or bad, people are watching. So you become more helpful to other people when you are living in your purpose and you are following your purpose and you're being authentic. You make better decisions. Simply put, you have clarity now. There is no confusion in your mind. You know exactly what you want. You know exactly how you're going to get it. You know the things that you are going to tolerate. You know the things that are necessarily a cutoff for you, things that you're not going to tolerate. You know these things. So nobody is able to push you into making a decision that you don't want to. Nobody is able to suggest something to you that you know does not go with what you want to do in life. Living authentically, you think for yourself. And when you think for yourself, you get the life that you want. Another reason to be authentic is having a greater sense of appreciation. Now, this can go for people having a greater sense of appreciation for you, or you having a greater sense of appreciation for other people, because you attract what you are. You attract who you are. So when you decide that you are going to live authentically, when you decide that everything is going to align, you begin to attract the people who are supportive of you, who genuinely care for you, who are going to help you. And it's not even a matter of, well, I don't want people that are just like me. No, everyone is not going to be just like you. They are going to be aligned with you. So whether they are there to show you a different perspective of how to do something, or a different perspective of how to think on a subject, that person is there. You have attracted that person. It's relationships. All relationships are give and take. You're learning something from that person. You're giving something to that person. You're taking something, you're receiving, you're giving, you're receiving, you're giving. That's how relationships are. But when we are not aligned, we tend to attract people who don't care for us, who are going to just use us, who are going to take, and never give. So you appreciate people more, people appreciate you more, and your relationships become stronger. And last but not least, the number one reason is success. Now, whether this is monetary success or just having success in your life by you accomplishing the things that you set out to do, it's easier to have success when you are yourself, when you know who you are. Because again, you are going to be able to set boundaries. You know what you're willing to accept. You know what you do not want. And so you get on a deeper level with people. You follow your purpose, and it's kind of like a puzzle. Things just fall into place. And everything that you've ever wanted has the potential to come true. And because you are being true to yourself. Now, we know why we need to be authentic, but what are signs of us not living an authentic life? Resentment. Sometimes people show resentment for family and friends. And this is a sign that you are not living an authentic life, because resentment shows that you are not clear or upset about your personal behaviors or the way that you think about things. Resentment actually has nothing to do with the other person. It has everything to do with you. And a lot of times we face resentment in our lives because someone asked us to do something. We didn't want to do it, but we agreed to do it anyway. And the whole time we're doing it, we're mumbling under our breaths. I know I've done it, so I definitely know that you've done it. I don't know why I'm doing this. She always asking me to do something. She can't ask everybody else to do something. I'm busy. Why didn't I just say no? Da, 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 da. So, and it goes on and on and on. And the more you do that, the angrier you get at this person because you opened your mouth and agreed to do something that you did not want to do. But you project the resentment that you have for yourself in that moment on the other person. You get stressed about getting older. Now, yeah, stress is something that naturally occurs, but the closer you get to your birthday, you add stress or you have added stress because you're not at peace with yourself. You tend to think about the things that you've done in life or all of the things that you've wanted to do and how you weren't able to accomplish them. So for me, every year, my birthday is New Year's Day. So every year, I reflect on the previous year. And sometimes I'm happy with the things that I've accomplished or the way that I've acted within that year. Other times I'm not so happy with how I've acted or the things that I've done. So for me, it's not stress where I'm pulling out my hair. But I tend to start thinking, well, how can I correct this before my birthday? How can I make things right before my birthday? And for me, I noticed that I used to write, my way of correcting things was writing a letter to the person that I offended, the person I had an issue with or things like that. And I started noticing that I was writing a lot of letters. I was writing a lot of letters every year. And I'm like, well, everybody can't be wrong. I'm the common denominator in this situation. So what can I do to fix me so that I'm not continuously having issues with people? That can be a hard pill to swallow for some of us because we don't want to admit that we are in the wrong. But a part of growth, a part of knowing yourself is being able to admit when you're wrong. And trust me, it wasn't a situation where overnight I said, oh, I'm going to change this, and everything's going to be okay. Because then I overwhelmed myself with all of the things that I wanted to change. And I was like, well, I'm not just going to change. I'm not going to change anything because this is just too much. You got to take your time. If you want it to happen, it is going to happen. You just have to be patient and take your time. Make that first step to commit to yourself that you want to be the best version of yourself. And the only way to be the best version of yourself is to know what you genuinely want out of life. Another sign that you're not living your most authentic life is that each day feels like it takes a lot of effort. You know, when you are not in alignment with yourself, you don't know what you want. You have a hard time just getting up. You have a hard time deciding what you want to do. And it's a struggle because there are so many things coming at you and well, how can I do this? Why do I need to do this? I just don't feel like, and again, you overwhelm yourself because you're putting too much effort into doing something that should naturally occur. You know, those people that just wake up in the morning and get started without a push, without having, they don't put their alarm on snooze. They don't need coffee to get their day going. They wake up and just start singing with the birds. Those are people who are happy with themselves. They know who they are. And I'm not saying that they do that every day, because trust me, there are some days I don't want to get up. And honestly, today was one of those days. I just was really tired this morning. But even in my being tired, I actually got up 10 minutes earlier than what I needed to be. And another thing about that, again, it goes back to people are best. You can help people by leading in the example. Normally, it's a struggle to get my kids up. If you have kids, you know, kids don't want to get up for school. But me being tired, getting up 10 minutes earlier this morning, I didn't have a struggle with my children this morning. I did not even have to attempt to wake my children up this morning. They got up, and no, it's not I was making a lot of noise or anything like that. They got up on their own. So it's about doing the things that are going to make life easier for you. If you have to put a lot of effort into getting up in the morning, you're going to resent having to get up in the morning. Another sign that you're not living your most authentic life is you're always anticipating the next milestone or the next big thing, the next goal you can crush. When you're in a space of always anticipating the next thing to happen, you're not living in the present moment. And you're not able to enjoy your accomplishments. And then you don't even get to question why you want to accomplish the thing that you want to accomplish. You just have your checklist and you're just checking everything off. I'm going to go fishing. I'm going to go skydiving. I'm going to make $1 million. I'm going to start a campaign for Feed the Hungry. I'm going to build a community center. But why are you doing these things? Is it serving a purpose for you? Is it to serve a purpose for someone else? So we all have goals. Absolutely. We all want to accomplish the next big thing. But we have to make sure that our goals and our accomplishments are in alignment with who we are and what we want. And the last one, something feels off. When you're not living in alignment, something always feels off. And you know the feeling where you're like, something just doesn't feel right. I don't know what it is. I can't place my finger on it, or I can't articulate exactly what it is, but it just doesn't feel right. That's because you don't feel right, because you don't have the definition of you. And when I say you don't have the definition of you, you don't know who you are. You don't know what your values are. You don't know what your beliefs are. So everything that comes across you gets absorbed into the person, you, the person. So you begin to emulate these things. You begin to think through the same thought processes as the other things that come across you. So now, why is it important to be yourself and be authentic? It helps you gain clarity about yourself. The clearer you know yourself, and knowing yourself is an ongoing process. You are not going to know your entire self in one day, because we are continually growing. We are continually changing. We are continually evolving. So you are going to have an ongoing process. But in order for that process to be successful, you have to be aware of your thoughts, your emotions, and your behaviors. So you have to be clear on all of those things. You attract the right people in your life when you are yourself. I had the habit of continuously telling people, I'm just being me. What does just being me mean? And I never questioned why I said that. But here, think about this. Yesterday, I was on a call with my coach, and we were talking, and I said to him, I used to always say that I'm just being me. But now I don't have to say that, because I'm actually being. It's a different feeling. You don't have to convince, you don't have to tell someone you're just being you when you are authentically being yourself. And the people that gravitate towards you because of who you are the people that you need in your life. For whatever reason, whether it's, to be a part of something bigger, to feel connected to something. Because honestly, we all want to have connections. These people, when you are yourself, they help strengthen your identity. They help offer you a sense of belonging. I no longer have to say, I'm just being me, because I'm actually living it. I had someone tell me, I was in a conversation with someone and I had them tell me, like, they say, you're different. And then they started to list all of the ways that I was different. And I said to them, well, I used to be the opposite. I'm no longer the opposite, because I learned the things that the way that I was moving, the things that I was doing when I was the opposite were not benefiting me. It was pigeonholing me from being myself. When I took inventory of the things that I wanted in life, my behaviors changed because my thought process changed. You're able to appreciate differences in life. Excuse me. When you're authentic, you accept your own strengths and weaknesses, but you can also accept and respect different personalities and values of people, because we're not all the same. You may bring something to the table that I know absolutely nothing about, but you're willing to teach me. And I have to be open-minded enough to be able to receive what you're trying to give me. When you're authentic, you have that growth mindset. When you're not being authentic, when you don't know yourself, when you are not in that authentic mindset, you're not open to anybody teaching you anything. Because it is what it is. That's what a fixed mindset is. You can't grow, you can't develop, because you know what you know, and that's it. It's no room for improvement. Appreciating the differences also allows you to expand your network. You also become more aware of your emotions. Now, this one, I rarely showed emotions. Not that I didn't feel the emotions, because I did, but I always pushed them down. Nobody was going to know that I was emotional. No one was going to know that I felt anything, because I saw that as a sign of weakness. It's not a sign of weakness. And every time I pushed down my emotions, I was not being true to myself, because I wasn't allowing myself to feel my emotions. I wasn't allowing myself to express them. So when you don't know yourself, it's hard for you to be in touch with your feelings. It's hard for you to truly express how you're feeling to someone else. And the best part about being authentic and living authentically is when you become authentic, you become aware of your emotions, and your emotional well-being improves. Yes, sometimes I may cry at a TV show now, but that's because I feel something. And instead of pushing it down, I'm able to feel it and then move on from it. It doesn't pigeonhole me. It's not something, I'm not going to push it down and then something happens and it triggers me and I go off and start yelling at everybody. Because in that moment, I'm feeling that emotion and I'm dealing with it. Even if it is just a television show. When you are yourself, you learn to love yourself more. Being authentic just means that you genuinely love every aspect of yourself. We all have room for growth where no one is perfect. But when you're not yourself, when you don't know your values, you don't know your purpose, you don't understand your beliefs, it's hard for you to love yourself, because you don't know the person that you're trying to love. And think about, if you can't love yourself, how can you love someone else? Think about that. Now, how can we begin to live an authentic life? Get in touch with yourself. You can get in touch with yourself because we take on so many roles that it's hard for us to know who we are authentically, because we're a mother, we're a sister, a brother, father, son, daughter, a co-worker, best friend. We're all of these things. And so our personalities begin to become a mesh of all of these things. So when we are getting to know ourselves, we're relearning our values, we're relearning our beliefs, as well as our passions. And the way that we do that is through personal reflection. Personal reflection can consist of asking yourself questions, and you have to be honest with the answer to these questions. So some of the questions may be, which values are most important to me? What subjects do I enjoy talking about? What activities do I enjoy? How do I want to be remembered? What do I want my life to look like? And when you honestly answer these questions, you get an insight into who you really are. Now, I would suggest taking the answers to those questions and then building on those answers. So, what values are most important to you? That's one question. But once you answer that, how can you build on that? What values are least important to you? What values do I look for in a partner? What values do I look for in a workplace? All of these things are important. So you make small steps towards living authentic. Most people want to fully change their life in one day. They just want to rip their mask off and say, world, here I am. This is me. And yes, ripping your mask off is wonderful, but you're going to get overwhelmed because people are going to question you every second of every day as to, is this the true you? And if you haven't made the small changes that lead up to that big change, and you have not done the work to solidify that that is really you, you're going to quickly put that mask back on. So you make small goals that lead up to the big goal of being authentic, which is learning your values. Identify the things that you're passionate about. What do you want your legacy to be? How do you want to accomplish your legacy? All of these things, and knowing these things and making steps toward accomplishing these goals help you get the bigger goal of being authentic. And the last one, calm yourself down. And this one is interesting to me because I have done it, but I did not know exactly what I was doing at the time that I was doing it. So when we are around people, sometimes we want to shrink ourselves because we feel that we're not good enough to be around people. And, we become anxious because of this. So when those feelings arise and we want to hide ourselves, you take a deep breath and you repeat to yourself that it's okay to be your true self in that moment. The people that you are around are going to like you for who you are. And if they do not, then it is their loss. The deep breathing and the reaffirming that you are enough as your true self helps you to ease the anxiety, and it makes it easier for you to be yourself. The first step in any change or any process is to commit to the first step. It's going to happen. Be okay with being yourself, because there is no one in the world like you. Embrace who you are and proudly show yourself off. Each one of us is a unique individual. If everyone was a cookie cutter person, the world would be pretty boring. It's nobody like you. And I say that all the time. No one else is like me. It's one Keisha. Keisha may not be her best every day, but it's only one Keisha. And I'm going to be Keisha. I'm not going to shrink myself. I'm not going to change who I am to make someone else happy. I am going to be me because what I have to offer this world, it needs. So now is the question and answer portion. If you have any questions, you can unmute yourself. You can type them in the chat box. I will be sure to answer each and every one of them. You know, I love to stay connected to you all. You can catch me on Facebook at Coach Keisha Golder, YouTube, Keisha Golder, where you can look at past web classes and some other content. You can also catch me on LinkedIn. You can check out my website, KeishaGolder.com, where you will see blog posts, web classes. You'll be able to sign up for sessions with me. And if you want, you can leave a comment or a question there, and you know I'm going to get back to you as soon as possible. So what are we talking about next week? We are talking about understanding the roles that your strength plays in your purpose. We all want to have a purpose, but sometimes we don't want to know what we're good at, what best suits us. So you have to understand your strengths as well as your weaknesses so you can know how those things are going to play a part in your purpose. This is the Life Purpose Makeover Journey. This web class was about stage 1, the entire stage, where you want to be, knowing me, where you want to be, your core values and belief systems, because all of those things combined help you to be your authentic self. I want to thank you for joining me tonight, and I look forward to seeing each and every one of you next week. Good night.
Ooh, that was